कुंज बिहारी जय राघवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवर हारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवर हारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रावण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे जय 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 प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर षोडशी श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, Jai Sri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Uttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatiraye नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतस्य मया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी हरिः वत्सम्। Go. Oh, Vishnu Padaya, Vishnu. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today we are discussing from third canto, which is entitled The Status Quo, and the 31st chapter, that is entitled The Movement of the Living Entities. In that we are discussing verse number 17. I just open the verse. I will share the screen. So we will read now. Dehi anya dehe vivare jata ragnina vin mutra kupa patito bhusha tapta dehaha icchanito vivasitum ganayan swamasan nirvasyate kripanadhir bhagavan kadano dehi anya dehe vihare jatra ni nashruga vinmutra kupapatito brusha tapta dehaha icchanito vivasitum ganayan swamasan nirvasyate kripana dir bhagavan kadano dehi anya dehe vivare jataragni nashruga vinmutra kupapatito brusha tapta dehaha icchanito vivasitum ganayan swamasan nirvasyate kripanathir bhagavan kadano. Word by word meaning. Dehi, the embodied soul, anya deha, of another body, vivare, in the abdomen, jatara, of the stomach, agnina, by the fire, ashruk, of blood, with stool, mutra, and urine, kupa, in a pool, patitaha, fallen, brisha, strongly, tapta, scorched, dehaha, his body, icchan, desiring, itaha, from that place, vivasitum, to get out, ganayan, counting, swamasan, his months, nirvasyate, will be released, kripana dehi, person of miserly intelligence, bhagavan, O Lord, kada, when, no, indeed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Fallen into a pool of blood, stool, and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire, the embodied soul, anxious to get out, counts his months and prays, "O my Lord, when shall I, a wretched soul, be released from this confinement?" Purport. The precarious condition of the living entity within the womb of his mother is described here. On one side of where the child is floating is the heat of gastric fire, and on the other side are urine, stool, blood, and discharges. After 7 months, the child, who has regained his consciousness, feels the horrible condition of his existence, and prays to the Lord. Counting the months until his release, he becomes greatly anxious to get out of the confinement. The so-called civilized man does not take account of this horrible condition of life, and sometimes, for the purpose of sense gratification, he tries to kill the child by methods of contraception or abortion. Unserious about the horrible condition in the womb, such persons continue in materialism, grossly misusing the chance of the human form of life. The word Kripana Dihi is significant in this verse. Di means intelligence and Kripana means miserly. Conditioned life is for persons who are of miserly intelligence or who do not properly utilize their intelligence. In the human form of life, the intelligence is developed, and one has to utilize that developed intelligence to get out of the cycle of birth and death. One who does not do so is a miser, just like a person who has immense wealth but does not utilize it. Keeping it simply to see, a person who does not actually utilize his human intelligence to get out of the clutches of Maya, the cycle of birth and death, is accepted as miserly. The exact opposite of miserly is Udara, very magnanimous. A Brahmana is called Udara because he utilizes his human intelligence for spiritual realization. He uses that intelligence to preach Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the public, and therefore he is magnanimous. Okay. So this is again a very powerful verse. As I always keep saying, whenever you read any verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, you actually feel, wow, this is so powerful. This is actually giving the entire summary of Bhagavad Gita, like the Bhagavad Gita, or for that matter, even Bhagavatam, like that, we get a feeling. And this is no different. Very powerful. And Prabhupada, by his purport, by his divine transcendental purports, he's actually bringing the reality so vividly in front of our eyes, to say, the purpose of the life and what is the final objective, and, in between what is happening, and, how we should change ourselves. So in this one, you would have, those who have been attending on a daily basis would have actually, will know this, but I will just give a high level of recap of, what is the context of this verse. So here, the last few chapters, Kapila Dev is giving instructions to his mother Devahoti on, it's like Bhagavad Gita, like Kapila Dev giving many verses of explaining to his mother, just like there he was, Krishna was instructing to Arjuna, like this. Here to his mother, many verses, many chapters are covered in Srimad Bhagavatam for this discourse by Kapila Dev and on devotional service. And here in this one, in this particular chapter, the movement of the living entities is described. So there, the Kapila Muni is actually explaining what happens to the humans, what happens to the soul, which is actually, into sinful life, and therefore, as a process of that sinful life, what happens next. So that is being described here. And he is actually talking, if I go back to the, the initial verses, it starts like this. The personality of God had said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. So this journey of the soul, after having led a karmic life and having left the body, whatever happens, and then how he is actually given a chance or to experience his past deeds, how he is actually taking birth in the womb of a mother. That is being the discussion point here. And it goes on to explain how the fetus is actually impregnated, and then from there what all is happening to the child, or what all is happening to that jiva, which is actually in the process of getting a body, so that he can uh, later experiences past deeds. So in that context, here this verse is spoken, fallen into a pool of blood, stool and urine within the abdomen of his mother, his own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire, the embodied soul, anxious to get out, counts his months and prays, "Oh my Lord, when shall I, wretched soul, be released from this confinement?" So now this is at a stage where this soul, or that body, the soul within the body, which is within the body of the mother, is actually got the ability to think now. So this stage of the embryo is somewhere around the 7th month. If I have been going through all the earlier verses, we come to know. So it said, the first, when the semen actually sort of fertilizes the egg, it is mentioned that it's not like the physical, because of the egg and the semen, that body is formed, but the personality of Godhead is actually causing that jiva to come, to what you call, to travel in the womb, travel in the semen to go and fuse with that egg, and therefore that physical body is being prepared. But the jiva, the soul, is inside that, and therefore it is actually able to form a body. Like, it's not like simply the sperm and the egg meeting that it cannot, you cannot have a child. We can see that everywhere, many places where people are married, and then they have this relationship, but they are not able to get the children. So there, of course, there is this particular combination is happening, but still they are not able to get a child. That is because maybe a jiva is not been what do you call assigned this particular mother's body, and therefore that particular couple is not getting a child. And maybe it is also the karma of that couple, that they should not be having the maybe you can even call it a fortune of having given birth to a child, because it's fortune, not simply that I have got a lineage, that I have children. That's another thing also. Fortune, I mean, in the topmost sense, because fortune means that we get the ability to raise a child to be able to take up to Krishna consciousness, and therefore make his life perfect. Then we can say that our life is actually useful. Our what do you call, our marital life is useful, that I have facilitated a jiva to come to this platform of self-realization. Otherwise, there is one more thing which I have heard elsewhere, that I think in the context of Ravana, that there's some discussion somewhere, I heard it in Ramayana, somewhere it is coming, where it is mentioned, Putra, the son, is actually can also be called Mutra, right? It depends on how the son is able to rise up or uses human life. So that the Putra and the Mutra are actually the source of how they are originated is through the same apparatus, the genitals of the humans. But then the Mutra goes down the drain, right? It's useless. It is of no value to anybody. Similarly, the Putra who is coming through that process, through that apparatus, can also be a Mutra if he does not actually take up to self-realization. So this is something which very nice. I heard in one of the Ramayana related classes, and it's a very powerful thing that after all, at the end of the day, whatever comes out, and unless it is of really it raises its position, otherwise it's still have nothing of use, right? It just goes down the drain. So we may have got a human form through that apparatus, but what is the use? It's of no use, or for our own self. Forget about to the others, to the society. But if we are not able to use that to make progress in self-realization, because this Atma is moving in this journey from one body to another, searching for that ultimate truth. And therefore, if there is no progress, what is the point of this couple having given birth to that body, right? The child. So it is the responsibility of every parent to actually try to give Krishna consciousness to the child. In some form and shape, that the child, at least up to the point where they become a major, where they are able to finally take a decision. Beyond a point, nobody can control anybody. But if you are giving the right kind of environment, my spiritual master soul, Jayapataka Maharaj, when many people say, "How do you raise the child? How can we, make the thing?" So he used to say, up to the age of 18, you create a nice environment for the child to take up devotional service. Now, after that, it is not in our hands. The child may go uh, in the path in which you have shown, that is in Krishna consciousness, or the child may choose to deviate from it. Of course, we are always there to guide them, but you cannot, beyond a point, force anybody, right? So it's our duty to give them the nice environment, the nice kind of knowledge, the nice kind of guidance, and whatever we are able to give at that point in time, that will certainly have a good impression in the mind of the child, and then they start off become stabilized. They get the necessary jnana, they get the necessary practice of, in that many years of leading a very what do you call, austere as well as controlled and all of those things, and also develop some nice uh, uh, taste for doing devotional service. So these are all very important things: taste for association, taste for uh, some specific activities which are attracting them to the devotional life, which keeps them stuck there. Because at the end of the day, jiva needs some activity. It cannot simply be, living in a mental platform. So there should be some activity which that we should find in the child, uh, that attracts them to the devotional life, and then you nurture that talent so that they somehow or the other are actually able to fix on Krishna's service. So that is important. So that process is important. Now this body which has come into the body of the mother. So initially, after it is formed, like after the fusion, it is formed. It slowly develops within the first few weeks. It develops a head, and then it develops, slowly the body and the arms and all that. And it very clearly mentions how the child is situated in it. It's like, it's in one of the verse I read. It actually, like, it's bent down like a bow. That head and, the leg is bent down like this, that it looks like a bow. But if you see scientifically, if you see now, if you observe all these, now we have visibility to how an embryo is inside the womb. We see it is actually in that form, like, it is bent down like that. And in the process of that, the child is also connected to the, what do you call, the intestine of the mother through the stomach of the child. So there's a umbilical cord which is there. And it says the food is also supplied through that umbilical cord from the intestine of the mother into this child. And there again, it is very elaborately discussed how the food therefore actually moves into the child's body, and the child's body is very tender. And in the process of it being tender, whatever food generally the mothers take a lot of hot spicy food, onion, so many of these tamasic food and all that, that actually torments the body of the child inside. And it is mentioned the child is actually put into so much of agony because of the food the mother is eating. In today's, that's why there are many way clearly the foods prescribed for the mothers are to be very sattvic and all that, so that the body inside is a very, even scientifically, the body is a very soft, very, very fragile, very tender body. And you, to nurture that body, what kind of food needs to be taken. But if in today's world, people are all thing about all these very rajasic food, all this severe masala and this pungent and, those kind of food when we eat, the child is tormented, it believe. And in the process, it is mentioned here, the child is becoming more and more unconscious. He's not able to tolerate anything. He just goes into, the state of unconsciousness again and again and again. Just imagine that situation. You are confined, you can't move around, you are not having the ability, and you are surrounded by, here it is mentioned, on the one side of the bag, there is this, whatever, the urine bag, the motion bag, everything is there right inside, this side, that side, and all that, all around the body of the, and there are various discharges happening. mentioned here. And in that condition, your body is also tormented by the kind of food that is being taken. The child goes into unconscious state. So somehow here at a point where that he regains from his unconsciousness at point in time in the around in the 7th month after getting consciousness, he is again and again going into unconscious state. But in this state where he is slightly awakened, the child is able to think, I believe. And there actually Kapila Dev is explaining in one of the verses, he said, if the child is fortunate, he will remember many of his past lives, it's been mentioned. So maybe not all jivas are able to remember that, all the past lives. But maybe some jivas are able to remember. If they is fortunate. We also know the story of this Jataparat, right? So the Jataparata was, before he became Jataparata, was a great personality. Uh, he was uh, uh, he was in the ashram. He was actually having an ashram and he was performing wonderful austerities. He was doing a lot of tapasya and he was progressing very strongly in devotional, in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness. But towards the, some portion, at some point in time, he saw one deer which was actually trying to escape from a tiger or lion. And while running, it was pregnant and it dropped that, whatever the small, it gave birth while running in that panic. It was running in that shock, the child was delivered and the deer kept running and that happened. And then this deer was suddenly orphaned in front of this Rishi's house. And then the Rishi, out of compassion, took the deer and cared for it. It's natural for everyone to do that. And he's done a very good deed here by helping out a small deer which has just taken birth and the mother has just gone. And he was caring for it, but in the process, he got too attached. And then he became so attached to the deer that at the time of leaving his body, he was thinking of the deer. Oh, what will happen to the deer now that I am leaving? And therefore, he was given the chance to become a deer because his consciousness was fixed in the deer. Krishna says, right, whatever state of mind you remember at the time of leaving the body, oh Arjuna, that state you get without fail. So Jataparata got the body of a deer. Now, Jataparata remembered his past life. He remembered that even while he was a deer, he was remembering, oh, I was such a great saint in my last birth. Therefore, he took that opportunity to actually go to another Muni's place and he lived there. As a deer, he lived there, in a very devotional mood. And later, after he left the body of the deer, he came back again to the old form of a human form. So that is always there. You go from the human life because of our sinful activities. We may go into the body of an animal or a plant or whatever, and then we come back into the human form. So the journey continues. After going through the punishment, in one of the verses, we saw that when we say we are experiencing hell, it is not that we are experiencing hell only in the Yamaloka or whatever. There we are trained. But the experience of hell, that means whatever punishment we are to undergo, we undergo many a times in this material world only. After getting training, we come here and experience that hellish condition. So this place can also be hell and heaven. You should not think, oh, heaven is a separate place, hell is a separate place, and this place is not. This place can also be used as a hell or a heaven, depending on our karma, how we have performed. We may be born here, but we may be experiencing nice things because, of our purvik good deeds, and then we can think this is heaven. Right? Sometimes when we eat something, wow, we say, no, this is heaven. So the same place when we eat something which is so bad, we say, oh, this is hellish. So the same place transforms into hell or heaven depending upon our activities. So what I was saying, I think I lost the thread. So Jadaparata, I was saying, so then like that, though there the remembrance is given by the Lord. And here also the Lord is speaking, if you are fortunate, like Jadaparata, we get that memory of, oh, I was having such a life earlier. Now, why have I come into this womb of the mother and I'm struggling like this so badly? So that is the first point that we are trying to understand. So Prabhupada is explaining this, the so-called miserable condition of the child. And then he is thinking and he's praying, oh my Lord, please help me get out of this mess. Please help me. And he prays also that, you please release me from this condition of whatever, in the womb, bondage inside the womb. I will never commit this mistake again. How many times we say, right? When so many times when I remember when my childhood days, when I don't used to get good marks, then my father will chastise me. Sometimes you get a little bit of a beating also. That time you feel, this is a miserable state. I have not been doing well. I will take a resolution. From going forward, I will ensure I will really study well. I will do this well. I will do that well. I say so many things in my mind. And then I feel nice about it. My parents are also convinced. They said, okay, fine. You do well next time. But then, okay, then the next classes start, and our mind, having gone through that difficult time, and we are out of that difficult time, again goes back into the old ways. You are not really focused, you are not really studying so hard, and then you land up more almost similar to the last time, and you again repeat the same thing. So that we always repent sometimes. Oh, why this is wrong, this is bad. I will change, but there is no intelligence to change. That is the problem. That we intelligence means it's not simply saying. Some many times we say, "Oh, I'm sorry" to many people. Oh, I'm sorry. I did some mistake. I say sorry. Sorry is just a word, but then if you really mean you are sorry, you will act. Then you are really sorry. Otherwise, it's just a lip service. Oh, I'm sorry, Prabhu. I should not have done that. But we'll commit the same thing again, very insensitive that we will do the same. So then, what is the meaning of our sorry? There is no realization in what we did. It is simply a lip service. The similar thing, we can apply this to many, many things that we have. The highest of this is having to take birth again because we messed up with our previous life. We did not do the right things. We have wasted 100 years of life or whatever number of years that we lived in that body. We have not utilized it for the proper purpose. And in the process, we got mm, in the process, we get mm, back into the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is very strong, and therefore, we can go on in this, to make ourselves more and more. These verses are there. It is not. We should not sometimes think, oh, why is this so pessimistic? Why are we talking about so much about negative life? Life is there for celebration. You should celebrate life. One may think like that, but that is what we are doing 99.9% of our life, always thinking there is something wonderful to do in this life materially, right? If you really see, other than the time when we are trying to be Krishna conscious, if you see, our mind is always in Maya. We are always thinking, what next? After we finish this class, we will go back to our office or whatever and say, okay, now what will I do better to get better salary? What will I do to get a promotion? What will I do to do this, do that, do that? And we keep on meditating on different things, thinking this is what is going to give me the happiness. This is what is going to give me the ultimate benefit. This is what is going to keep me secure in my life, right? I mean, depending on what state we are in, I may be a student, I may be a mother, or I may be a whatever, I may be thinking, how I can give very good education to my child, how I can make them, crorpatis, how I tried to and I messed up. I was just now telling I didn't, maybe I did not focus on my studies. Maybe then I will think, oh, now I will ensure my child does it properly. And there are many parents who spend 24 by 7 after the child, right? Child. Yes, that is nice. But what I'm saying is, so we are 24 by 7 in this material thinking, and therefore a little bit of a opposite of that helps to balance ourselves. So don't mind me being a little more pessimistic on, when we talk about these things. When I uh, try to paint a very negative picture of it, but that is also a reality. Sometimes we need to sit back and think, is it not true also? So then how do we balance both of it? Certainly life is a celebration. As long as we are able to become like in the earlier context, what I talked about, Putra and Mutra, if you are able to become a Putra, then your life is a celebration. But if not, we need to see whether it's a real celebration. It may be looking like a celebration, maybe temporary also sometimes. Maybe we are enjoying, true, maybe we are enjoying. But that enjoyment is for a very, very small period of time compared to the scale of the real life, the life of the soul. Whatever we are experiencing is very, very small amount of time, right? Now, we'll come to the second portion of our verse where it is mentioned. Prabhupada so beautifully combines, okay, this is all fine, this is the reality, but then how do we understand this reality to get to something better? So Prabhupada is talking about the intelligence. So now the realization aspect of it is that therefore how do I use this condition to really understand and therefore make the transition so that whatever I am doing gives me a permanent result. So all of us spend our time wanting to be happy. So this question of trying to be intelligent, trying to be smart, that I should secure myself, I should try to be happy. In that process, what do we do which actually makes us happy? So that is the journey every jiva. Like if you really see, if you ask what is the purpose of life, everybody will see the purpose of life is to be happy, right? To be blissful, to be experiencing greatness. Now, everything in one sense is relative. Okay, for someone it could be simply flying, flying, soaring above in the sky and be happy, feeling the wonderful air and the sunshine and getting to see everything from above. All that, everything is relative. Many people want to do this. They go on the mountain. Then there is one kind of a I don't know what do you call glider, right? People take so much of austerity to go and make a lot of preparation, spend a lot of money, go up on a hill, and then from there jump up from that using the glider and say, "Wow, I had a wonderful holiday. I was on the glider, gliding around, walk up, and I could see so beautiful all the plains below and all that." But sometimes we also see many of those gliding adventures fail and people die. Also, no, going all the way up the mountain and jumping off from there committing suicide, in one sense. Now, it could also be happiness sometimes, but sometimes it could be a disastrous situation where the fellow. So, but you are not designed to fly, Baba. You have to understand that. But if you are trying to do things which are abnormal, yeah, sometimes we may succeed, but sometimes we could also fail. Many people, right? Monkey jumping. They jump from a bridge on top, and below there is a big river flowing many, many hundreds of meters down below. The fellow ties his leg, right? His legs are tied, and he jumps upside down, and then he jumps down, and the rope is tied to the leg. He jumps down so deep down, almost goes and touches that water, the thrill he wants to experience. And then it just does not allow him to touch the water because the rope comes to an end and it's an elastic kind of a thing. And then he's immediately, that elastic effect pulls him back up, and he feels like, wonderful. But there are also instances when that rope got cut and this fellow went and hit that bottom of that river, whatever, and hit the rock so hard and he, died in a gravy death. These things also happen. But we think that is thrill, that is experience in life. How much time we have spent in this womb. But here the child is crying, "Oh my Lord, I don't want to take this trouble again. Please save me. I don't want to come back again." But after this, we commit suicide like that and then come back into another womb. Maybe in the womb of a fish, I don't know. Because you wanted to experience that water. We go on into that womb of a fish and struggle there. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm saying, there are different permutation and combination of our karma because of which we get different bodies. And we are conditioned so badly to accept that. Like, imagine being, in the womb of a pig, right? The food that is coming in is also stool, right? And you are already in the all around the stool, everything. But the food that pig is eating and what we will also get to eat is also the stool. But then that get conditioned, that is the whole thing. So if that person is in that kind of a condition, is praying, oh my Lord, next time I will not commit this mistake. Please help me get out of this mess. So he's counting the number of months. It's written in this verse, right? And we discussed about the gastric fire and all. What the more we eat, the acidity, we know the stomach has got acid in it, and that is how it is able to digest the food. And the more kind of rajasic food that we eat adds to that, and the body is suffering here. That was what we read. His own body scorched by the mother's gastric fire. The embodied soul, anxious to get out, counts his months and prays. So he's counting, oh my God, when will I do? And this is very true, no? Many times when this is not a something which we can't relate to. Many a times we have some anxiety in our life, and we are thinking, oh, tomorrow will it be good? Tomorrow will it be good? Tomorrow will be good? Tomorrow will my uh, problem be solved? Like when I remember when I was at COVID, 14, 15 days, continuous fever, and continuous coughing, and we know no doctor has a solution, right? So it's not like you have a guarantee that you will get out of it, and then these medicines are working. So I have a good friend of mine who's he gave me medicines. He said, okay, you take these medicines. But then I know those medicines are there, may help, may not help. Nobody really knows for sure. So I was gobbling up some 5, 6, 7 tablets a day, and that is making me more and more weak and making me vomit. I'm not able to take food or whatever. I was thinking, oh, another 3 more tablets to go. How should I take this? And in my back of my mind, I was also thinking, is this really going to work for me? So every day, you are also confined inside a room. You don't know what's happening outside. You are sort of this one. And every day you think, okay, tomorrow, is it going to be a better day? Or is there going to be any challenge? Is there going to be any progress like that? Of course, as devotees, while these thoughts do come, you are also more aware that okay, so this is what it is. Oh Krishna, you do what you want to do. It's up to you. I know wherever you want to take me, you please go ahead and do it. That is also there. That is another experience. I will talk another later. But some of these thoughts also come now. You are thinking, so what next? What next? Tomorrow will it be better? Or is it going to go down little bad? So like this, there are so many things. But it could be someone's financial problem. I'm into some kind of a financial mess, and I'm thinking, will tomorrow be a better day? Will the debtors be little bit more merciful on me? Or will I get some money from somewhere? This kind of thing. If I'm not having a job, I'm thinking, oh, will tomorrow someone be favorable with my CV? Will they look for me? If I'm looking for a marriage, oh, will some girl accept my proposal? This is going on. We are keeping on, building, 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 searching, searching, searching. So in that process, we are looking for that happiness. We are looking for that security. But in reality, what is the real security that we should look for? We forget. So that is what has been mentioned here as uh, the second portion of it, which is talking about uh, the word kripana dihi is significant in this verse. Di means intelligence and kripa means miserly. Therefore, I am using this intelligence. We all know the human body is meant to be the most intelligent. We will define what is intelligence. Uh, One could define intelligence as, human body is very intelligent because he is able to control all the other species, that he is able to build these great skyscrapers, and therefore he is able to live a very peaceful and happy life. He is able to take care of all his diseases. He is able to win over the diseases. So many things we can say, but certainly one thing is clear: human body has got more intelligence, either material or spiritual. It is there. So that is defined. So the human body is meant to have intelligence, and having got a human body, here we are talking about the human body, the human embryo. That is what is being discussed here. So the human body has got intelligence. Now the question is, what is real intelligence? Right. So the definition of this intelligence, is it towards these kind of better living conditions for this temporary body, or is it to solve the question of birth, death, old age, and disease? So that question is coming in the 10.10. There, the Lord is saying in the second chapter, there is a verse which says that, it talks about Buddhi Yoga, right? The Lord talks about Buddhi Yoga, and the definition of that Buddhi Yoga is there in the 10.10, where it says, Tesham satata yuktayam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayate te. So that is very important. So he says, dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give you the intelligence, with which what you do with that? By which they come to me. That is the most important thing. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding or the intelligence by which they can come to me. So that is the highest application of intelligence. So this point is very important. That means intelligence is, as I said, is very, what do you call, what do you call that? Contextual. That means you can say, okay, this is intelligence, that is intelligence, depending on the position where you are in. But the real ultimate of that is, okay, fine, this is better, this is better, this is better, this is better. But which is the best? The best application of intelligence is coming to this point of that I do not want to again take birth in this material world, suffer this repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. But I want to come to my original state where I am eternally Sachidananda Vigraha. And how do I solve that problem of this birth, death, old age, and disease? So now that is real intelligence. And for that intelligence, what is required to be done? Krishna is saying, those who are constantly devoted to serving me. That means one should take up to the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with love. Then, devotion means is actually performing a lot of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then the Lord will give us this intelligence by which we can. So that is the highest intelligence. The Lord does not talk about very basic intelligence. He's talking about the highest intelligence. So he's giving Arjuna in that one and a half hours, he's giving him the highest knowledge in that battlefield. He's in a question of situation of deciding about the life and death of other people and maybe about himself also at that point in time. While we know Arjuna is going to be victorious, but at that point in time, both are possible, right? He could die or he could make others die. That's possible. But in that kind of a situation, Krishna is not giving him very basic, ABCD. He's giving them the highest knowledge. And that is being spoken here as the intelligence. And therefore, if we are able to apply this intelligence in this particular body, which we have taken after being in that womb, sometimes we think, no, Baba, I don't remember. You are saying some people will realize that and they would have cried in their womb like that. But I don't think I cried. Possible I did not cry, or possibly I cried, because he says some people are fortunate to like that. One thing is, if I was fortunate and I remembered at that point in time and cried, and when I'm coming out of the womb, right, there is so much of it. See, the mother, if there are women here, they will understand, and who have given birth, they will understand this giving birth, that process is very, very, very painful. It is like having a second birth, actually. I've heard women say that, you go through so much of stress and pain and whatever. Some people even faint, like, during that process of childbirth. And in that process, the child also, if you are thinking the mother had to go through so much of difficulty, what about the child? That is, we already discussed the tender body and all that, and how much of push and pull that it has gone through in that small body. And with all the whatever we discussed, the mutra and the blood and all of that, it is not going to be a very pleasant experience for that being. So it goes through trauma while coming out of that of the body of the mother, and in the process, as soon as it is born, it is like, it is already terrified in that process, and then it starts crying like hell. And then immediately they are immediately taken, wrapped up in a nice, very soft cloth, and then it's put in the bosom of the mother, and then this father, everybody cuddling and all that. Then the child actually forgets what happened to the thing. We all have this, right? As I went through so much of difficulties, but today it's all past. It's done. Away with. Right now, I am experiencing. I am in the bliss of where I am today. So like that, the child then forgets what happened in his past. That I was actually doing a research when I was doing a seminar for this, parenting. So I was trying to read. There, actually, it was mentioned the child in the scientific researchers say, the probability of the child remembering about his past life are very, very high in the young age. That is very clearly, I went through a lot of scientific research conclusions which are there, which says during the childhood days, there are many memories for the child of their past life. But in the course of our conditioning in this body, we tend to forget it, and it is very natural, right? How many of us remember everything that happened in our younger ages? We don't remember. But we know we existed, we were in so and so place, something like that. But so many experiences we have gone through, we don't remember all of that. The same thing happens, this child forgets it as soon as it comes out of the womb, in that all that pressure and all of that, and when he's given some nice environment, the child forgets that and goes back into his normal thing. But still he carries a lot of memory as per the scientific research articles that I was reading there. But assuming we were not fortunate, like it was mentioned here, or assuming I was fortunate and I forgot once more, we get another opportunity. Like here, for instance, there are 11, 12 of us here, and we get to see this. There are other people also in so many Bhagavatam classes, Bhagavad Gita classes. This is being brought to our notice that, we are struggling in the womb and we need to come out, and we have to use this life to reach this perfection and take up to devotional life, so that we do not come back and take another birth again. So that is being mentioned to us, whoever are there in the spiritual life, in devotional life, in Krishna consciousness. Now, the knack is how are we able to keep this thought more and more alive in our life? This is Krishna consciousness. Because, we are surrounded, as I said, 99.9% of our time is in exposure to this material world, where we are given a different kind of a hope. Therefore, this counter thought, which is the reality, is being given here, and that we should be able to sustain in our head to say, okay, I am covered. I am always getting allured with so many other so-called progress, so-called intelligence. But how do I still retain this actual thought about that? Whatever I do, I still ensure that I don't come back into this another body in this material world. So how do I keep that memory going? So that happens by our keeping ourselves soaked in the association of devotees, by reading, the ABCD, whatever we say, all of that. And more importantly, here Prabhupada is talking about another intelligence, which is that intelligence by which we realize that we want to do. And then when you are really intelligent, you are also magnanimous, not being a kripana. That is the other thing. See, one is use my intelligence not simply to take bodily comfort, but to use it for self-realization. That is one intelligence. The other aspect of that great intelligence is that we are not miserly in applying it for material things, but we are magnanimous, that we are actually trying to apply it to the best result for ourselves. The next natural thing is, how can I use this to give it to others? Right? That's the point that is being discussed about the magnanimity. That word udara, the opposite of miserly is udara. Miserly is being conjuice, being very stingy. But the other side of it is udara. That means being very magnanimous. So how can you be magnanimous? Magnanimous means, okay, I have sort of got little of this understanding. How I can share this understanding to everyone else? How I can give this mercy of Krishna consciousness to everyone else? So that is what a true Vaishnava does. That means he preaches this message of Krishna consciousness for the welfare of all living entities. So we have said, no, okay, many of us want to do many welfare activities for people. Okay, Krishna, you have given me everything nicely. I am happy. I got a good job. I got a good family. I got good food, everything. Now let me do some service to the society. Many people try to do. But then the highest form of social service is actually giving them this Krishna consciousness, because that is helping them get over all the problems that they are facing. It's like, we say, right, you teach a person to, instead of giving them food, you teach them how to earn that food, how to make that food. Then you don't have to go and do that food every day for them. They will do it. Like that. If you are able to solve their biggest problem, then the smaller problems of either poverty or, what do you call the bodily other requirements, that will automatically get solved. The highest problem, if you are able to solve, because the other problems anyway, there are so many organizations, there are so many governments, they are supposed to do this thing. But the spiritual consciousness, nobody is there to give. They don't know in the first place. No government is working towards that, right? So it is the duty of a devotee who knows that he goes and gives this knowledge to everyone else. So that is what is the magnanimous one that is being discussed here. So I will stop here. If there are any questions, any comments, anyone wants to contribute to this discussion, please go ahead. I see Uttam Damodar Prabhu here. Many other devotees. Surapalaka Prabhu is there. Shivkumar Prabhu, Shreya Mataji, Poonam Mataji, Revati Nandan Prabhu, Chinnu, Bharat Prabhu, Swayam Prabha Mataji. So please, anyone is having any thoughts, please share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu, Uttam Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Continue.
Sorry, Prabhu. Prabhu, a very nice explanation. Thank you for a wonderful explanation. Two faults that we have is, despite hearing all this, despite knowing all this, again, the moment the 9 o'clock, the class is over, 9:05, we get into our material activities and forget that we've gone through all this trouble we've gone through while we were in the womb of the mother. We're still going through. It is not that after we came out of the mother of the womb, we are all comfortable and we are all happy and we are lucky and all that. Yes, we still suffer. Yeah, every day we struggle. As you gave the example of your COVID, we all go through so many things, but we forget. So yesterday's class, very nicely, devotee Ramchandra Prabhu was describing, saying that Krishna gives us a forgetfulness, so that we can comfortably kind of continue. So my request for a clarification would be, despite going through this again and again, and in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I think we are all getting back into our normal life. Somebody will start for the office, somebody will start working in the office, somebody will start working at home, somebody will go to the college. All that will happen. How do we constantly remember the Lord? Yes, one is the practice which is required to be done. Okay, that's one part of the question. The second question is, you were also talking about the research that you have read through the documentation, and you said while we are younger, we remember it more, but as we grow older,
yes,
our remembrance of the trouble that we've gone through in the womb or in the childhood kind of reduces.
Yeah.
How do we understand that? Is it that the age factor which is important, saying that, when I'm 5 years, I'm just quoting an example, when I'm 5 years, I remember what happened in the last 5 years. When I'm becoming 10 years, I remember what happened from 5 to 10. And when I become 15, I remember from 10 to 15. Is that somehow something that works? So just need your inputs.
Yes, Prabhu. So even there I was seeing, they were saying why you are able to remember more when you are a child is because your conditioning is less at that point in time. That means, like, the point you are saying is, I overwrite it with so many other things, and therefore the old memory is lost. So the conditioning is also to say, like, when I'm fresh out of the womb, the past 5 years is easier because I have not put in newer things into my head still, right? At this point, other than the basic of how to drink milk or, how to cry when, I need something. So that is the basic thing that I know. Therefore, my mind is relatively free and all these other memories are filled with it. But by the time I grow up, I add up so many other things into that mind and then the old things get erased. So this is what is the logic. How we are actually able to remember more when we are young about the past than when we are later. The logic same. Even now, I will remember the last 4 or 5 years better than the previous 5-10 years, possibly. That is the logic. Does that sound okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, absolutely fine. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Sorry, I was not able to unmute myself, so got delayed in replying to you.
No problem. Thank you, Prabhu. Revati Nandan Prabhu, you are trying to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. You have covered a lot of topics today. Thank you so much for that. Prabhuji asked, Uttam Damodar Prabhuji asked just now, like, we are forgetting after 9:05, we forget the instructions. I think because we have converted all our discomforts into comforts. So we are not seeing it as a discomfort place, because we have made a lot of comfortable place here. Like if it is hot, you turn on the AC. If it is cold, heater is there. We have brought the kitchen and the bathroom into the home. Everything is comfortable. So that's why we are not remembering that we have to go back. So I think that's why everyone says we have to read Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita every day, at least because we remember. Yes. The goal is to go back, not to stay here comfortably. I think that.
Yeah, just like, Uttam Damodar Prabhu is here. So I remember this thing, like, now we go to these great hospitals, right? 5-star facilities, right? So I'm sick, then I will get everything I want. They're so perfect, but we don't want to stay there, right? Okay, Prabhu, when are you discharging me? Right? I may have the money to give, but I may get the best of facilities, but still I will ask Uttam Prabhu, can you please help me, discharge me? I'm okay now. I can go home and take rest, right? So the idea is, while all the comforts are there, that is not the place to be in. So like that, if we are able to understand that this place is Ashashvatam and Dukkalayam, but I have somehow got conditioned to accept it. But intelligence, again, that intelligence is to understand that this is not the real place I need to be in. We may have the best of bathrooms, you talked about it. But however best it is, will you be there all the time, right? Today these advertisements of bathroom, they make it like, this is like so perfect place to be in. But will we be there all the time? That is the question. So how much ever greatness we have in material life, that intelligence is to say, okay, but fine, I'm happy that somehow I'm managing here, but I would rather not be here in the next time. So that is intelligence. Good point, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just to add, Vidura Madhava Prabhu, I was just having this conversation, as you rightly mentioned about it, saying that these days the bathrooms cost more than anything else in the house, the bedrooms or the kitchen. But are we staying in the bathroom all the while? So I think that's the comparison. Somebody was doing it, and I was talking to them. I said, how much ever you spend on the bathrooms, you're not going to spend more than the required time that is required to be spent in the bathroom. Yeah. So this is what one needs to understand, saying that why are we spending more than the required time in this material world? So when I mean more than the required time, why are we not ending it in this lifetime itself and then thinking, okay, if I don't go home in this lifetime, maybe the next time, or maybe the following time, or maybe the third, or maybe the fourth time. I think that's a wrong thinking that we as human beings should have, saying that I've finished my work in the bathroom. Let me just get out of the bathroom. Let me not stay here permanently.
Yes.
So that's the corollary that we can really make out of this. Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation, Prabhu.
Very well. Nice. So thanks for the interactive session. Okay, so if there are no other comments or questions, we will end here. Whatever little I could know, my little intelligence, right? There's so many things to have been discussed. I could have discussed so many more things from Bhagavatam instead of the bathrooms and this one. But my fallen intelligence that I could only think of these things. So forgive me if anyone felt, this is not a great thing, but whatever little you got, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Sorry. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, can I ask a question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Yes, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, yes, discussing like we should achieve a goal. We should have a goal to go back home, this life itself. So, to set that goal and to achieve that goal, what is the way to go there, Prabhuji? Because this just chanting and following regulatory principles is enough, or what exactly? Please, will you help me out?
Actually, if you are regularly able to chant and follow the regulative principles, you can actually go. But the problem is, many of us are not even able to do that, right? That is the whole issue. Like, if you are able to do your, the Harinam regularly and follow the regulative principles, then that process will automatically make us become self-realized, right? You don't know how to do anything extra. Like even the Jadaparata, what was he thinking? Now I will not engage in anything. I will simply be remembering the Lord, because I don't want to come into one more situation where something hijacks my mind. Therefore, he does not want to engage in anything but simply focus on only the Harinam, like that. But unfortunately, we are not able to do that, right? We are not able to focus completely on the chanting and whatever, other devotional activities. That is why Prabhupada has given a wonderful platform called ISKCON. So what he has done is, he has given you a platform where you can engage. If you remember, I was talking earlier about activity. When I was talking about how we can develop our children, I was talking about activity. See, we cannot simply remain like, artificially that, I am very Krishna conscious, I will be able to nicely chant and all that. That is nice to think, but in reality, you are attracted to so many other things. Therefore, the idea in life is, how do I make my engagement in a way that it is spiritual? So the best thing there is association. As long as you are able to keep yourself in nice association of devotees, as long as you are able to engage yourself in activities of Krishna consciousness, which you will blissfully perform, not feel out of force, but you do it because you like doing it. So if you develop a taste for some activities in Krishna consciousness, then that is the best way to actually fix ourselves to chanting, to fix ourselves to regulative principles, fix ourselves to improve our knowledge in the subject matter, and go back to garden. Does it make sense,
Yes,
Prabhu?
Prabhu. Yeah, very much, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. And Prabhu, one more question. Like in the here, it's written the part like translation, like after 7 months, the child gets the consciousness. So
Yes.
before 7 months, the child won't be getting the consciousness in the.
Yeah. So it says somewhere after the 6th month or so, the consciousness of actually the child gets the consciousness. And again, because of all these foods that has been there, the child goes back into more and more unconscious state, and again waken up again, that he is being tormented inside the stomach, inside the womb. So that consciousness develops slowly, but only around that here, as per what is mentioned at the 6th month or whatever, the full consciousness comes to the child. At that point in time, he is completely aware, like, what is happening around him, where he is, all that he is able to feel clearly.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Right. So thank you all very much for this interactive session. We will end the session here, and we will continue tomorrow. Mantra Srimad
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danatnam Prabhuji.
Dandat Pranam. Mantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll end the session. Thank you very much.